After 34 years, Austin police have solved the murders of 4 teenagers whose deaths forever changed the city. DNA technology finally cracked the case of the yogurt shop murders, and the suspect wasn't on anyone's list. So today on CityCast Austin, we're talking about yesterday's bombshell press conference and how they finally found the killer. It's Tuesday, September 30th. I'm Nikki Devon, and this is what Austin's talking about. Hello, I am here with Eva Ruth Moravec, our executive producer. What's up, Eva Ruth?
Hello.
And we are, coming to you with a quick update about the yogurt shop murders. We've reported on this before. We've watched the documentary. I think when we saw it at South by Southwest, it was the debut. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, it debuted here. The story's been in the news all year, it feels like.
Yeah. So the Austin Police Department just held this huge press conference, and we just want to talk about what we saw and just kind of process the fact that after 34 years, the killer has been, identified.
Yep.
Here's the timeline. On Friday, Tony Plahetsky, a very well-sourced reporter for KVUE and the Austin American-Statesman, broke the news at the end of the day that there was a new suspect in the 1991 deaths of 4 Austin teenagers. Those teenagers are Jennifer and Sarah Harbison, Eliza Thomas, and Amy Ayers. And they were closing up shop when the building was robbed and then set on fire. And after the fire was put out, that's when the girls' bodies were found.
With gunshots. They had been shot to death inside the building, and they had also been sexually assaulted.
Yeah. All 4 of them had been shot with a .22, but then Amy Ayers had also been shot with a .380.
Yep, and that's the one that really kind of broke this whole thing open, was that one .380 shell casing, which is wild.
Yeah, there had been multiple people that had confessed. They had even sent a couple of people to jail to let them back out. And finally, Robert Eugene Brashers has been identified as the suspect in the killing. Brashers was identified using DNA, but Brasher died by suicide, and the gun that he used in his own suicide matches the ballistics of the shell casing that was found in the drain at the yogurt shop. I mean, y'all, it's wild. Okay, so let's get into the press conference, right? Ava Ruth, you were there. I watched it live stream, but you were there, right?
I was there. It's a huge, huge story, and you could tell by the turnout that everyone is still very, very involved, can't get enough of this, wanted there to be closure so badly. So it was at City Hall. It was, from the mayor, the chief of police, the district attorney, all kinds of detectives were involved. The crowd was full of detectives and police officers who had helped on the case throughout this 34 years. And it was very emotional. The mayor was the first to speak, and he started with a moment of silence.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you to all of you that are here with us today, this morning. I'm Austin Mayor Kirk Watson. And please, let's begin today with a moment of silence for Amy, Jennifer, Sarah, and Eliza, and for their dear families.
There were pictures of the 4 girls up on the dais where city council usually speaks. And so it was like they were like looking at everybody in the room. And then in front of where all of the press was and the rest of the room, there were 3 rows of seated family members of the girls. So they were all there and a part of it. And then the officials were all on the other side. And there was, starting with the moment of silence, kind of set the tone that it was emotional. It was heavy. There were people crying throughout, Yeah.
I think that the mayor did a good job with his opening. Like, the things that he was saying at the beginning, I thought he did a good job. I'm always really surprised when he can be solemn and he can be... I've seen him serious often, but when he can just, kind of pull to emotion and solemnness, I'm always really surprised. And I think starting the press conference with a moment of silence was really smart. And I
Yeah.
think it was because it kind of gave everybody an opportunity to sit in what was happening and to sit into and it took away the frenzy of like, oh, they found out. We got to get the scoop. We got to get it takes that completely out of the room. And I thought that was really, really smart.
So true.
You know what I mean? It kind of it gives this moment the respect it needs to have.
Yeah.
It sets the tone. So we had Mayor Kirk Watson, Austin Police Chief Lisa Davis, the lead detective, Daniel Jackson, Austin Forensic Science Director, Dr. Dana Kadavi, Travis County DA Jose Garza, Texas GA's Cold Case Missing Persons Unit Senior Counsel Mindy Montford, and then the family of the victims. Now, if you ask me for my opinion, the only people we needed to hear from were the people that were directly involved. But I'm fascinated by how this unraveled. I'm fascinated by it.
Wild. It is wild. Yeah. And Detective Dan Jackson was the one who really kind of spelled out all of the play-by-play.
Yeah. He had a PowerPoint.
Starting with when he got the case in 2022. And it was really interesting.
So the thing that I thought was really smart about this whole PowerPoint is how he was just like, this is the elephant in the room. How did we get here? How are we just now finding out? How are we just now? We had DNA. How are we just now doing it? Which I thought was really smart. I like that he gave definitions. And anybody listening, you can go back to ATXN Live and you can watch this entire press conference and you can see the little PowerPoint slides that he has. It's actually fascinating and it's robust and it explains everything. So the killings happened in 91. They interviewed hundreds of people and like dozens of people confessed, which was also interesting.
Yes, they had lots and lots of these false confessions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is upsetting, kind of, because
it seems wild. It
can muddy the waters. But we have to remember that DNA was not then in 91 what it is now. The detective then, John Jones, was like, let's get all the DNA with this kind of anticipation that eventually science would catch up, which I also think is incredible.
And he did give credit to his co-detective,
Mike Huckabee,
yes. He said the two of them,
fought for
they
it.
insisted on getting the stuff that DNA didn't exist then. Or it existed, but not in policing. But they were like, let's get the stuff under the fingernails,
exactly.
Which was huge.
Exactly. So in 1999, there were 4 men arrested for the killing: Maurice Pierce, Michael Scott, Robert Springsteen, and Forrest Wellborn. And they were arrested primarily because Maurice Pierce came in and had this story and he implicated everybody else. And then the cops brought everybody else in. Yep. One guy they interviewed for like 18 hours. Another guy interviewed for like 5 hours. It was a whole big deal.
Maurice Pierce was one of those false confessions from the beginning. And Jones and Huckabee were like, no, this isn't it. There were holes in it. Then in 1999, there was a new task force that APD assigned, and they were like, oh, no, these are the guys. We found this confession. So they brought them all back in. And then they were all 4 arrested. And eventually one guy was no-billed and the other one, the charges were dropped. The other 2 were convicted, but there was never any physical evidence that connected them. And then there was this Supreme Court case which enabled them to basically have a new trial. And in the lead up to that new trial preparation, that was 2009. And then all of a sudden they were able to start doing DNA testing. And that's when they did the DNA testing that cleared all 4 of those guys. And so
after they've been in jail for 10 years.
Yeah. So APD was back to square one. Right. Zero people. But now they had this DNA profile, basically.
And evidently they had just, throughout the years, they've been, as DNA technology had gotten better, they were just coming back to it. They would come back to it. And they started out and they only had 16 markers. And then they waited a couple of years. They came back and they had 27 markers. So it's like that. So I love knowing that because it did feel like it kind of got rid of this idea that this just sat untouched for 34 years. And then all of a sudden it's like, ta-da, we found him. DNA is amazing. No, they've been testing this DNA off and on for 34 years.
It took some tenacity for everybody involved in this case to not give up.
This podcast is brought to you by Wise, the app for international people using money around the globe. With Wise, you can send, spend, and receive up to 40 currencies with only a few simple taps, and save up to 55% compared to major banks. Plus, Wise won't add hidden fees to your transfer. Whether you're buying souvenirs with pesos in Puerto Vallarta or sending euros to tip your Coliseum tour guide, you know you're getting a fair exchange rate with no extra markups. That's what makes Wise the fast, affordable way to use your money around the globe. Wise offers 24/7 live support and runs over 7 million daily checks to catch and prevent fraud. So you know your money is where it's supposed to be. Be smart. Join the 15 million customers who choose Wise. Download the Wise app today or visit wise.com. Learn more by visiting wise.com/US/compare. T's and C's apply. I just got home from a vacation, and though I had a great time, all I could think about was getting back to my bed. Because in my bed, there's no tossing and turning. I have all the pillows I need, and I have my favorite set of Cozy Earth sheets, which keep me comfortable all throughout the night. Now, y'all have heard me talk about these before, but you have got to try them. It's risk-free because they have a 100-night sleep trial. So honestly, if you don't like them, you can send them back. But if you do like them, and I think you might, you will get a 10-year warranty, so you can enjoy them for a long, long time. So head on over to CozyEarth.com and of course use my code CozyAustin for 40% off. And if you get a post-purchase survey, make sure you let them know that you heard it from me. Because your bed should be more than a place to sleep. It should be your happy place. Cozy Earth makes that possible.
It must have been so frustrating also to have this DNA that was someone. They knew it was
but
someone.
They didn't know who it was.
They couldn't figure out who it was. And so they tried, this is also explained in the HBO documentary series about the yogurt shop murders, which came out just in August, just recently.
Just now.
And that they explain that they even tested all the DNA of everyone, all the first responders who responded to the scene.
Everybody, 300 people or something.
So many people. And then in late June of this year is when the detective, he says, I don't know what made me go down that rabbit hole, but I did. He started researching this shell casing that they found in the drain. And this fire, basically at the yogurt shop murder scene, the fire destroyed most of the evidence. They really didn't have that much, but they did have this casing. He put it into a database. And it had already been submitted a few times, but he was told, hey, try it again. You never know. And they did get a hit that it had come from this very specific semi-automatic handgun. And then they got the DNA.
Yeah, they keep testing the DNA and it gets a hit from something in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And they start working with Kentucky, right? And then they keep going. They test it again and they test it nationally and it pings something in South Carolina. And that's how they get Brasher's name.
Mm-hmm.
And it's then pieces of the puzzle just start falling together.
It's just these two little things that caused the breakthrough, the DNA and the shell casing.
And then they started connecting the dots. The guy, I got chills when he said that the guy in South Carolina said, did your guy were they bound? Were your victims bound with their own clothing? Mm-hmm. And so they started to put this is his MO. They started to match the MO.
Because I don't think they knew his name yet, right? They just knew these two people are the same. Their MO is the same.
And so he was arrested in 1985 for assault, shooting a woman who survived. He got out on parole.
Yeah, he pled to second-degree homicide and aggravated battery. He was sentenced to 12 years, 4 years later, he was out on parole. He was not supposed to get his gun back, and it did come back to him, which is great because that's what, another thing that kind of pieced it all together.
Yeah.
In 99, he was actually involved in a police chase, and he died by suicide in this police,
standoff. Yeah. Finally, they were able to get a sample and request to have his body exhumed. So they exhumed this man's body and realized that there was many, many, many other crimes that he never stood trial for. He didn't stand trial for most of the crimes. He had multiple fake IDs. He had lied about dying once. He had fake obituaries. He had multiple aliases, just like a known criminal.
The detective said that last week they started with a couple of victims and now they're up to 8 across the country. And they are continuing, now that they have this DNA profile, they know this person could have done other crimes. And so it's South Carolina, Missouri, Tennessee. There are victims, and of course, in Texas.
Just like a straight up serial killer. And the test they did was called YSTR. And he evidently had this unique Y that was 0.1% of men have. And that made it even more possible to pinpoint him because he had this unique little part of his DNA.
Right.
And then, after they exhumed his body, they identified him. Then they were able to go ahead and retest against the girls. And his DNA was found on 3 of the 4 girls.
Right.
And specifically under Amy's fingernails. Which I love the fact that she fought his ass. I love it. I love the fact that a 13-year-old girl, 14-year-old girl knew to fucking fight. And Detective Jackson said her final moments of fighting was the thing that solved the case.
Now, I just want to reiterate that this is a combination of technology, good police work from multiple agencies and cooperation, and timing. So this is something that could not have happened until 2025. And I'm sorry that it took 30, 40 years for us to get here, but we're here now. And, Amy's final moments on this earth were to solve this case for us. It's because of her fighting back.
Yeah, that's just a freaking knife to the chest right there. I mean, it's heartbreaking.
It makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
It makes me angry.
It's a huge story. It's massive. There were reporters there who I spoke to today who were like, damn, they were pulling up their own archival reporting from 91 because they were at every single turn of the screw in this case. There are photographers who have covered every piece of this. There's Kirk Watson was mayor back in 99 when these guys were arrested. So many people have lived through this case. Retired detective John Jones was in the crowd at the press conference. He was in the audience. He was wearing the green and white striped shirt. Tell us about your shirt.
This is the shirt I was wearing that night when we met when Sergeant Huckabee and I met with the families the next morning. Everybody kind of commented on what a hideous color. And they were right. I told the families, said, well, when you see me in this hideous shirt again, it's me because the case is solved.
He was there wearing his shirt, and he said he had just flown in from Denver, and he said that matched the fact that Amy had the DNA of this killer on her fingernails matched what her father had told him at the time, that she was a fighter and she was going to fight back. And that's not to say that the other girls were not.
Right. Of course.
All. I guess I should mention the one person there that really everybody wanted to thank was Mindy Montford, who used to work for the district attorney's office. And now she's with the state attorney general's office. And she said when she got on this case in 2017, she made a promise to the families that she would never forget the case. And,
she immediately started crying.
I promised the family that day I would never give up on this case. It would be one of the most memorable moments of my career until this past Friday when we met again with the families and we gave them the news about Robert Brasher's.
She kept her promise. She's never stopped working on it. And then the family has helped her start the statewide cold case unit. So I want you guys to understand that before this, there was not a statewide cold case unit in Texas.
Yeah.
Which, can you...
In a state as big as Texas.
Yeah. And she said that the family wanted to start it, even, and they said, even if it doesn't help them, they want to help other families. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. In the middle of feeling all of this trauma, in the middle of all this loss, they still have it in them to try to help others. Speaking of Mindy, she did something that I thought was very smart. She was like, yes, we acknowledge that there's a documentary and there might be this belief that the documentary was the catalyst for people to start working. But she reiterated, we have been working on this the entire time. The documentary had nothing to do with it. They're going to keep identifying cold cases involving Brashers. Like this is like I like that she reiterated that this is big. This is about the yogurt shops, but also, and Jackson did the same thing. They're going to keep going. They're going to keep trying to identify whoever this man has harmed. And I like that too. I like that they're honest about the fact that like, oh, this is not like everything's not tied in a white bow. There's still stuff that we have to find out. It's not like
HBO comes in here and breaks open this case and now all of a sudden it's solved. Not to say that it wasn't an important piece, but I thought that was like, it kind of like broke down the third wall in a way.
Yeah,
and
I liked it too.
I did talk briefly to Margaret Brown, the documentary creator who was there.
My mouth is dry. I'm shaking.
When did you find out about this?
The same day everyone else did.
Friday.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a shock.
The other thing that kind of broke that third wall, we all found out about it because of Tony Plohetsky's reporting on Friday. And the Ayers family did kind of get into that some when they were speaking.
So Amy Ayers' brother, Sean, he came up, he thanked everybody for letting him speak. He called himself Amy's big brother, present tense, which I almost lost my shit when he said that.
And a big cowboy hat.
And he was like, he said he gave up on God, but God never gave up on him. And then he was like, thanks to the person that leaked the info. Thank you to the person that forced this press conference being moved up and not giving us any chance to process. All we had was a night. I had to write this last night because essentially because the press leaked this information and forced me and my family, and some of the families heard it without being told face to face.
Yeah, or they heard it after, like they got a call from a reporter first.
Yeah. They said, he was like, you should be ashamed of yourself. This has got to stop. It's out of control. And then his wife doubled down on it too.
And to those that leaked it before all the family members were notified, shame on you. This has never been a story to us. It's always been our lives, and we were forced to share it with the world. And the one day that we were trying to cope with it and take a breath, you took that from us.
You know, he was in the room, of course. Tony Plohetsky's going to be live from this press conference, but he did hug them afterwards, which I found interesting.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking and it sucks, but I think it's important to remember and to be reminded in times like this that these stories do involve people, especially a story like this.
Absolutely. And the current detective who had the case, Dan Jackson, you could tell he really took a lot of care. The families really, really, trusted him, obviously, and appreciated him and everything. And after he kind of gave the whole play-by-play of how they caught Brashers or how they connected him with the case, Amy Ayers' dad got up and he handed him a pen. And
that's right.
I was like, I got to find out what that pen said. And so afterwards I went up and it's just a black button that says, "We will not forget," in white letters. Oh. And it was very touching.
Speaking of just remembering that these are people, sister of Eliza, her name is Sonora Thomas. She said her mom died 10 years ago. So her mother didn't even get to see this thing happen. And she talked about the outpouring of the community after it happened. She talked about 10 years ago when she was here and she went to the gravesite and the woman at the counter saw her last name and was like, we've been praying for your family. And but she said something that I thought was really interesting. She said, more than this being a murder, she said, this is the loss of just like family.
We have been robbed of a life with nieces and nephews and grandchildren, and with sisters to grow old with. This sort of mindless violence continues to steal from all of us.
And I was like, God damn it. It's a family line. It's a family line that's gone. And I thought it was, I mean, it broke my heart to hear her say it, but I think that it was a necessary thing to say. Like, yes, this is a story. Yes, everybody feels so connected to this. I get it. And also, this is my family line that's gone.
My family, her whole
my family line is gone.
Yeah.
It's broke. I was like, God damn it. And she also said that former detective John Jones, she thanked him for still answering her calls. So they still talk. I mean, just.
Yeah, I know. It's a community that was built around this collective. Yeah. And I do think it's important, you know, DA Garza's job there, his role in all of this is now to fix it. I mean, there's still like things to tie up. They haven't fully closed this case, but they are like beyond confident that this is the guy, that it was only him. There was no one else. They talked about like him basically just randomly coming through Austin. I mean, there was no connection to Austin
at all.
And you know, he was kind of on his way. He was like within 48 hours, I think he was stopped by Border Patrol somewhere else.
In El Paso.
And, you know, but it was just totally happenstance, kind of seemed like why it was in Austin. And I do feel like that was something that caused people here to like breathe a sigh of relief that like, okay, it wasn't an Austinite. It wasn't this like evil person in our midst.
The city. Yeah.
Because that did seem like the narrative from the time was like, who is the bad person? Like, who do we need to be so afraid of here? And so they pinpointed these 4 guys and, you know, completely their lives have been ruined. One of them died in an officer-involved shooting. And the other 3 men, they were teenagers when they were accused of all of this and
coerced into a confession.
And thankfully, that kind of technique, it doesn't like there have been advances in that, you know, in that not being okay thing to do because it does lead to false confessions. So it's going to be up to Garza's office to figure out like, how do we make these 3 people whole? How do we try in some way to give them back what the state took away, which you know, there could be actual innocence claims. They could get restitution, like they could be made, like they could be eligible for payments. Not that that's ever gonna bring back these 34 years of their lives.
I like that DA Garza said the evidence is pointing to the guilt of 1 man and the innocence of 4. I really, really like.
I do too.
Clearly, because there was questions about like how can 1 man do all of that? How can one person, like he was a pro, for lack of a better way to say it, he was a pro.
He was a pro. I mean, obviously, it's great that like I do feel like there's a lot of happiness about this case being solved. There's relief, there's happiness, there's like also this huge piece of like, okay, it wasn't an evil Austinite. This was an evil person, a random serial killer, you know, in the U.S. So I don't know. Like, Nikki, do you feel like we're past this? I mean, it's going to take us time to process too. I understand, but
I think, you know what it is? You know, the thing about this that's upsetting for me is, well, there's a lot about it that's upsetting for me, but I think that I feel simultaneously like, okay, this is I hear what, because before this press conference, I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely like, oh, so y'all found him all of a sudden. Oh, you found him. He's the guy. How you like? I was super, super suspicious
because we've been through this before.
That's kind of what Angie Ayers said. She said she's waiting for the rug to be pulled out from under them, like for something to not add up. So there's something that's leaving me unsettled.
Yeah.
But I think what it is because you know who did it, but there'll be no consequences. So
Yeah.
like, luckily, this one guy had something gnawing at him, and he trusted his gut to be like, you know what, in June, to be like, you know what, let me look at this case again and running through this system one more time and just see what comes up, see what happens. Like, and it's called the NIBN. So like, let me just run it through one more time. Like the fact that it was something that it hinged on something like that is just unsettling for me, because you wish that every detective had that kind of like intuitive thinking. There was just like this Herculean effort from all of these people doing their thing over and over and over and over, and just not letting go and not giving up to make it work. And it still took fucking 34 years. You know what I'm saying?
And it was just a random person. Like there's closure, but there's also no why. There's no aftermath. There's no, I think DA Garza said something about the families still getting their day in court. And it's like, how? I mean, I don't know what that would be.
Yeah, like this is great. I love this for them, and I hope that it gives them some sort of closure.
Yeah.
But also, it's just like their lives will change forever, and it'll be continue to be changed by this forever.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that they have identified who it is. I can't even say caught because they didn't catch anybody.
I know, it's so like it's almost anticlimactic because it's like, okay, and he's dead. Okay.
Yeah, he's dead. They identified who this.
All right.
This sociopath serial killer is. And then just like the idea that, so Austin had a for real serial killer.
A for real serial killer.
Come through and just annihilate. It's just, that part, it's just unsettling.
And no one suspected it.
If you would have told me in 1992, of course I was much younger then, 91, that it was probably a serial killer, I would be like, in Austin? No, it's not a serial killer in Austin. It's somebody that, and I even said those, it's someone that they know, or it was a robbery gone wrong. That's what I have thought all these years. It's just like somebody hard on their luck, and they didn't get caught, and they got away with it for now, but they would eventually get caught. It's literally what I thought. A serial killer? No. A person that has just been wreaking havoc across the nation for decades? No. Never would have thought.
I know. I heard this quote recently, that like the truth has legs.
Oh.
And what it means is, or how they explained it was that at the end of the day, the truth is the only thing that's left standing. It's going to stand there as long as it needs to, and it's going to come out at some point. And I was thinking about that today when it was like, it was still there, just waiting to be pieced together, and I want to give all these people involved a hug, the biggest hug. Like,
everybody.
These detectives, seeing hardened detectives cry, seeing Mindy Montford just crying her beautiful eye makeup off all morning. You can tell this was a big day.
Mayor Watson summed it up pretty well. He said the pain will never go away, but with the knowledge, we can now have a little peace. We can have some peace, right? It'll always be a part of Austin's history. I don't know how peaceful I feel. It still just feels like such a fucking terrible tragedy. And
it does.
I hope that they are at least sleeping a little more soundly tonight after having a face to the name.
Yeah.
And those guys, I mean, they were demonized. It's a rough case. It's hard. It's a part of Austin history. We're glad that there's been some movement on it, but I'm also glad that they're going to still keep processing and looking and digging. That does make me feel good about it.
Yeah, I mean, they did say, like, if there's anyone that this MO sounds familiar, that, sexual assault, bound by their clothing, and what was the rest? He had 2 guns, I think was another piece of evidence that like, is part of his MO. Oh, and then set fires sometimes to the buildings.
Set fires to the crime scene, yeah.
Yeah, so if you know anything about anything that you think might be connected to him, they want to know. APD is asking for your tips, so.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Sigh.
Listen, it has been a hard morning, but at least there is a conclusion. There's a little bit of a tiny bit of peace, a tiny bit of closure. This feels a little bit like an end of an era.
It does.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit like end of an era. But we'll keep you posted if we find out anything else. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Eva Ruth, thanks for coming on. Thanks for talking about it.
Thanks for the therapy session. Hope everyone else can get one in too.
Listen, I know when I do see my therapist, she's going to like, oh, okay, the yoga shop. Okay, we're going to talk about that again. Shout out to everybody involved. Shout out to APD, all the detectives. Hope you guys have a nice cocktail tonight. I hope that the family sleep good tonight. I don't know. That's about it.
Amen.
I'm sending all kinds of good juju. That's all for today here on CityCast Austin. You can find links to the reporting that we talked about in our show notes. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Austin newsletter. And you know what? If you really love what we're doing and you really love CityCast Austin, make sure you support us by becoming a neighbor today. Go to membership.citycast.fm and come hang out with us. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye, y'all.